Hello there, one and all. You know who I am, ETTemplar, Supreme Misfit Professional Dipshit. So, we're looking at something. I've seen this infographic quite a few times, and it's being pushed by these NATO Western fanatics. And I'm going to say this because clearly, anyone who gets excited over the loss of 45 million Russians would being vaporized in a thermonuclear war clearly has fucking mental health issues. The Russians know this. The governments of the East, Russia, and the West have already ran the numbers. They've war gamed this out. They both know what happens to a global thermonuclear war. Everyone fucking dies. The world is done. If you're one of the lucky ones, you're caught in the epicenter and vaporized instantly. So it's not that the Russians don't understand the concept that they would be vaporized in a nuclear strike, but everyone's gone. So let's read this tweet from this Jake Bro, this 100 IQ fucking individual.
If Russia uses a nuclear weapon against a NATO country, this is what will happen to Russia in response.
And not only that, so this infographic is infamous because they only show the part where the nukes are coming in Russia. Because somehow in this scenario, Russia doesn't get a chance to retaliate against nuclear strikes. So this original video simulates World War III. It has NATO striking and it has Russia striking. And it changes the scenario. It's a long video. It says, what if NATO strikes first? What if Russia strikes first? So they always leave that part out. So they have about a minute 54 second, or no, 2 minutes and 1 second of this where it shows like Russia getting butt fucked by like hundreds or thousands of nukes, but it never shows the retaliatory thing, you know, showing that, oh, Russia somehow wouldn't retaliate in a World War III situation when they get nuked, or even if they instigate it, if anyone instigates it. About 45 million Russians will be vaporized the first hour. Not much of life remaining for the other 100 million, nor does anyone else on this planet, because if this delusional dumbass thinks Russia wouldn't defend itself in a nuke fight, clearly Jake Bro here is delusional, retarded, and or psychopathic. Maybe all three. Maybe he's a retarded psychopath, delusional retarded psychopath. So on the bottom here it says, maybe the people of Russia should stop supporting Putin and de-escalate the conflict. It's Ukraine that violated the diplomatic Minsk Accords. It's Boris Johnson that told Zelensky to defy that peace accord. It is Kamala Harris that went to invite NATO, inviting Russia to invade as a form of self-defense. Now that's just my opinion, but if you're a pro-Slava Ukraini NATO like psychopath that gets hard of the idea of Russians being vaporized in thermonuclear war, you have mental health issues, and like reconsolidate, like look at your conscience and look at your heart, because clearly something's fucking up with you, because no one in their right mind, unless if they're naive, unintelligent, delusional, psychopathic, and or retarded, applauds or pushes the idea or finds glee in the idea of a global thermonuclear fucking war. And this is the third time I've seen this shit. And I'm calling it out. And if you thought the Russians were mad with war, it's more so on the West, on the NATO. These people are fucking nuts. Then again, these are the same idiots who think Ukraine could defeat Russia in a conflict, when so many people in the past have tried before. You had Vikings tried it. Napoleon tried it. The fucking Germans tried it. Carlos Rex of Sweden attempted it and caught a cannonball to the back of the fucking head. So a lot of people have tried invading Russia in the past. Didn't go too well. So Ukraine, this has been going on since the Obama administration. There's a whole bunch of other geopolitical horse shit that you probably don't give a shit about. But yeah, the case remains. People like Jake Bro here are just mad. And if you literally think the West or NATO can win a nuke fight, you're fucking stupid, because at that point, the world's fucked and everyone's dead. But then again, there's idiots out there that are so up their own ass that they literally think not only can they beat Russia in a standard, regular, open conflict, but somehow NATO and the West can win and survive a nuke fight. Okay, Delulu world. But then again, these NATO types are still applauding Ukraine and saying Ukraine has a fighting chance. So we've probably almost passed like 1 million casualties. If we, even in low estimates of like 600,000, 400,000, about 1,200,000 people have lost their lives. That's combat and civilian. So there's these fanatical dipshits that think Ukraine can still defeat Russia in open conflict. And not only that, these people are mad and delusional enough. So let's put this even into context. Let's say Ukraine fights to the last man, woman, and child. Russia will still be at a population of 120 million. That's if they lose like 34 million people. I don't know the current geographics, but Russia has the bigger population, the bigger armaments, and they could last forever. We've seen, when Germany invaded Russia with millions of troops, thousands of tanks, and they got within 3 miles of Moscow, and then they shit the bed. Then the Reds really came out swinging, and the rest is history. And the funny thing is about all this, the guy who founded NATO was in Hitler's high command. The people who founded the United Nations, the people who founded the central banking of Europe, were all ex-fucking Nazis. So regardless of your opinion, NATO, yeah, go West. Certainly shitload of ex-Nazis involved in the West. Take that with what you will. I'm just stating fact here. But yeah, it's just entertaining to see the levels of delusional, like, psychopathy here that's going on with this conflict. And it's funny when you come from a central angle, like of humanity, peace, and just looking at the loss of life in a general sense, you're suddenly somehow a Russian Putin propagandist. If you take a cynical, skeptical look at the Ukraine-Russia war, all of a sudden you're pro-Putin, pro-Russian propagandist, and there's fanatics on both sides. But on the West, I'd expect them to know better. But it appears, just from what I've observed, you have people like this dipshit that we just seen, where he's like applauding global thermonuclear fucking war against Russia, and all of that. They're not counting China, Pakistan, and all these other countries getting involved in a nuclear slap fight. So again, these people live in a delusional world. They don't personally witness the loss of life in Ukraine or Russia. They're just propped up, gassed up, and brainwashed by the respective countries. And they don't look at anything diplomatically. They're fucking mentally ill, crazy, whatever you want to call them. At the end of the day, these people are fucking nuts. And it's a bit unsettling that there's people like this on Twitter, again, who are applauding and getting hard at the idea of a global thermonuclear war, and that should fucking alarm anybody. That there's any sane people, well, they're not sane. That's the point. Anyways, there's fucking dumbass crazy people out there, and let's hope it doesn't come to World War III and global thermonuclear war. But anyways, that's my 2 cents on it, and see you next time. So this is the amount of losses Ukraine has suffered. As I show you the losses of this equipment, I want you to remember that Ukraine is winning this war according to the West and NATO. Oh, hold on, let me... Remember, Ukrainians are winning this war, allegedly. Keep in mind, these are armored vehicles, sometimes having 4 to 5 people in them. This isn't talk about, infantry fighting vehicles if they were hit with the full crew. Don't know much about IFVs, but, that's 12 or 10 people. So just keep in mind there's crews to these vehicles. And this is a tracking of losses on the Ukrainian side. This is Ukrainian winning. This is Ukraine winning, by the way. Holy shit, 14 Abrams destroyed? There's some leopards in that list too. So, you see how long we've been scrolling? We're still scrolling. This is the loss of military fucking equipment. Tanks, BMPs, artillery pieces, fucking anti-air vehicles. $103? No, that can't be lost. But let's see. Two. That's a shitload of loss of Bradleys. 28 martyrs. It's kind of mind-numbing, isn't it? We're not even halfway of scrolling through these losses. And this is various Western military equipment as well. You got Finland, Netherlands, Canada, the United States, United Kingdom, Australia, Turkey, Canada. And this isn't even the loss of life. This is just some of the equipment. 27 Humvees? Yikes. Oh, so these are all different kinds of Humvees. Got Italian, you got Jordanian, German vehicles, Italian. We've just reached the halfway point. Has it set in yet? To you. Again, has to be prefaced. This is Ukraine winning, by the way.
Oh, this is Ukraine smashing the Russian machine.
And of course, for the Russians, it's just as bad, to be fair. But for those of you who don't understand, who listen to the media, I'm trying to impart here. We've been scrolling for about 3 fucking minutes. Now, of course, granted, there's some of these numbers could be probably fluffed up, right? Of course. Propaganda, you know, I'm not going to leave that out. But regardless, even if just, oh, there's some Estonian shit there that's destroyed. Even if, like, say, half of this is propaganda bullshit. I mean, again, scrolling for about 4 minutes. And this is just the equipment. The most biggest loss that we can't get back, or that no one can get back, is the loss of human life. But you won't get that kind of forethought or any form of like middle of the road, or just looking at it from the loss of like human or a central or just an observer. There's people out there who legitimately believe Ukraine's like swaddling the Russians or vice versa, right? No one wins in this situation like at all. The only people who seem to be winning is Zelensky. To my knowledge, he bought a house in Florida for $20 million. He bought a house in the United Kingdom for $20 million. So he spent $40 million in houses. That's just the two that I know of. And a new Bugatti for about $4.5 million fucking dollars. Meanwhile, the rest of these poor bastards who are dying get a cheap pinewood box and a shallow grave. But Ukraine's winning, by the way.